everyone, and welcome to the Body and Soul Expo podcast, your go-to source for holistic health and wellness. I'm your host, Bruce Starr. Mark your calendars and join us on Sunday, October 26th, 2025 at the beautiful Palm Beach Gardens Marriott, because it's going to be an absolutely incredible event, a truly transformational day you won't want to miss. We're proud to have sold over 60 incredible vendor spaces in just 6 short weeks. And most vendors are also powerful, innovative speakers sharing profound insights into a world of new and tried and true healing modalities, services, and products. You just have to be there to discover it all for yourself. The Expo is a culmination of Lauren's nearly 3 decades in the health and wellness arena and owning spas, and my 4 decades being right there next to her, and also coming from the entertainment industry, from a Hollywood talent agent and manager to television, podcasting, and radio. For all the latest updates, information, and exciting news and special announcements, please look for and follow our Body and Soul Expo Facebook site. And for a deeper dive into what our Expo will offer, definitely visit our bodyandsoul.org website and take the time to investigate it all for yourself. Today, we'll have another inspiring episode of the Body and Soul podcast, where we will showcase the incredible talents, experiences, and knowledge of the wonderful vendors who will be appearing at the Expo. So Steve Burgess has been a hypnotherapist and past life regression specialist for over 33 years. I think he might be getting it right by now, I'm pretty sure. And has completed over 15,000 therapy sessions. Wow, unbelievable. He uses past life regression to help his clients to heal issues in their present lifetimes. His latest book, The Adventures of a Hypnotherapist, was published just a few weeks ago, and I'm sure that he'll share that with us. So welcome to the show, Steve. Great to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Bruce. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, I've been around past life regression for a long time. And the one I did, the very first one I did, sure did open up my eyes, because the fellow who was guiding me through it did that whole thing, like look down and you see your feet and what are your shoes, or what shoes you're wearing. And, here I am wearing these shoes that had to be 200 or 300 years old, these big brown cloggy things. And what I learned about myself was pretty mind-boggling. But let's hear about you, and tell me about your, not childhood so much, but where you kind of grew up and what led you to be a hypnotherapist and past life regressionist.
Good, okay. Obviously, I'm an Englishman from Yorkshire, although nowadays I divide my time between Florida, West Palm Beach, and the UK, having fallen in love with a beautiful lady in West Palm Beach as a result of a past life regression that we both shared. And we've reconnected in this lifetime after several hundred years, which is extraordinary. So, yes, I'm an Englishman. I did the usual stuff at school, became a hotel manager, was always dissatisfied with what I was doing. Spiritually, I was always looking for something else. Christianity didn't feed me. And the first time I ever read about reincarnation was when I was 15, and suddenly everything made sense. The first time life had made sense to me in 15 years was when I read about reincarnation. I then started to look at Buddhism. I became a practicing Buddhist for a number of years in the UK, was heavily involved in Buddhism for a number of years. And then I got a little bit dissatisfied with that. It was almost a little bit too religious for me. I was actually practicing Tibetan Buddhism, which is actually a little bit strange in terms of the whole canon of Buddhist practices. But I found out I had a past life as a Native American Indian. a Native American brave, and I was killed in battle. Um, and that pulled at me. So I went and did a lot of shamanic training with a shamanic group over in the UK, which involved doing lots of shamanic practices and ceremonies, sweat lodges, vision quests, etc., connecting with nature. Ultimately, my spiritual path has taken me more nowadays into what's called non-duality, and looking at things from more of a sort of a Taoist non-dual perspective. That sort of has been happening spiritually. Now, from a professional perspective, I fell into becoming a hypnotherapist. I was a director of a publishing company which went bust, took some of my money with it, and I needed to do something quickly. And my father had been playing with hypnotherapy for a few years. Now, my dad had stopped smoking using hypnosis, and he's a scientist by profession. And he couldn't understand why this laying in a comfortable chair, relaxing, and then this therapist had told him he no longer wanted cigarettes anymore, and my dad didn't want cigarettes anymore. And it didn't make sense. His scientific left brain did not compute. So he started to read up about hypnotherapy, and the more he read, the more fascinated he became. He then went and trained to be a hypnotherapist and started practicing just as a hobby from home, helping friends and family and people who were referred to him. So he said to me, "Why don't you try being a hypnotherapist?" Okay, I'll have a crack at this. I went and trained and found I was very fortunate that I'm a natural therapist. You know, in every profession, Bruce, there are natural taxi drivers, there are natural doctors, there are natural plumbers. I'm a natural therapist. So it was like coming home to something, Bruce, and it just all fell into place. And I've been very lucky really with my professional career. I mean, you know, I have now clients in 29 countries around the world. I do all of my work online. I've got 3 books published on regression, past life regression of my career. And so it's all sort of fallen into place quite by accident. I wish I could say that the something spiritually called me to be a healer. Maybe it did, but in all honesty, I think it was just an accident that was meant to be.
Good accident. Very good accident. I like what I'm hearing. I got to tell you a regression story, 2 maybe. One was in 1994, I was hosting a weekly show on a station called WNN. It was called the Winners News Network. It was a fantastic station out of Boca. And I was supposed to have on this past life regression author, and he was supposed to be on my show on a Monday, but on Sunday, Hurricane Andrew hit. Now, you weren't here, but Hurricane Andrew is a famous hurricane that just beat the hell out of South Florida.
Right.
And set us back 5 years. Literally, I remember like months and months later, people were just like walking around like zombies.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's too unfortunate. So that man who was supposed to be in my studio that next day was Brian Weiss.
Oh, okay. The great man himself. Yeah.
And he never did make it back. I don't know why that happened, but I remember him telling me either on the phone or hearing his story that, you know, he was a straight, you know, anal intellectual guy. And he would do the hypnosis and get people into that place, and they would start talking about stuff that happened 200, 300, 400 years ago. And he's like, no, wait a second. Hold on. Where are you? Where are you going? And then it kept happening. So this poor straight guy who probably didn't want any problems with anybody inherited a handful here.
Well, my experience was a little bit similar to his in that I was a standard hypnotherapist, Bruce. I was just doing standard post-hypnotic suggestion therapy and visualizations with my clients, which is what basic hypnotherapy is all about. And that can be very successful. But then one day, I had a young fella came in with a severe anxiety state. I mean, he was in a dreadful state, Bruce. He sat in front of me. He was shaking, hyperventilating. He was stammering as he was talking. And I said, "Wow, this is bad." He said, "Oh, I've been like this for a long time." He said, "I've always been a worrier. Even as a child, I was anxious. But over the last few years, since the children came along, I've become more and more anxious. I've had to give my job up. I can't work. I sit at home all day shaking. My wife is sick of it. She says if I don't get better, she'll divorce me. We don't have a life. We don't have a life. You're my last hope." I guided him into trance and he relaxed beautifully. He absolutely softened in the chair, Bruce. He was absolutely so relaxed. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm on a winner here. And in those days, you know, when you first get started as a hypnotherapist, you're using a lot of scripts, you're reading scripts because there's lots of words to remember. And I thought I'll just read this anxiety relief script. And so I'm sitting there, you're now feeling more and more calm. And from this time on, you've been much more relaxed in yourself and giving him lots of post-hypnotic suggestions. And then after about 10 minutes, all of a sudden, his whole body went stiff. And suddenly he started to move around and he's looking around in the chair with his eyes closed. And he started to whisper in a loud voice, "Shh, they're coming. Hide, hide, quickly in here, quickly. No, hide. Shh, hide. Shh, the children, bring them. Shh, they're coming. No, 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 no. Shh." Then all of a sudden, without a word of a lie, he started to scream and yell and writhe. "No, no, no, not the children. No." And I'm sitting there thinking,
what did I get myself into?
he was completely prone at this stage, completely prone. I said, "How do you feel?" He said, "I feel wonderful." He said, "I've never felt this relaxed in the whole of my life." I said, "What was happening?" He said, "I don't know. It was weird." He said, "It was like I was in another body, in another time. I was a man. The children, we were trying to hide from the soldiers, Nazis. Nazis were trying to find us, and they found us and they shot us all and we'd killed us all. What was that about?" So I said, "Well, it's a past life, you know." And I hadn't trained in past life regression because in the UK in the early 90s, hardly anybody played with past life regression. But I said, "It's a past life." I said, "How do you feel?" His anxiety state was cleared just by going back into the past life, releasing the trauma. He was 110% better. And I thought, why don't I know about this? This is very important. So I got in touch with the American Past Life Association, got some information from them, started to experiment, started to play with it, started to put on past life regression group workshops, which I'm now running in the States, in Florida and San Diego this year. And developed a therapeutic regression system, which I now use with most of my clients to heal their issues in this life. And it doesn't matter what the issue is, Bruce. Every issue we have as a human being comes from locked in feelings and emotions from past traumas. If we can release the traumas wherever they are in this life, in past lives, or our ancestors' lives, I do a lot of ancestral trauma release, we can get better. And that's physical issues, depression, anxieties, phobias, you name it. If we can release those causal emotions, people get better.
That's a good day for me. All those things that you just said.
Yes, come see me. Come and see me.
You know, we will. We definitely will. Have you ever heard of Steve Parkhill by any chance?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so he was a South Florida hypnotherapist. And when I started on the radio, the station I told you about a few minutes ago, he and I started the same week.
No?
And he went on to do a lot of work in hypnotherapy. And what I loved about what he explained something to me. If you have a building made of bricks and one or two of those bricks are bad, it gets in the way of the foundation of everything that's built upon it. And he
Yes.
said, with hypnotherapy, if you can remove those bad bricks and replace them with strong new ones, you can
Mm.
That's the way he explained it to me. That made sense to my mind when I didn't know much about it.
So it's a great analogy, is that a really great analogy? And you know what? Most of the time, 24 hours a day, we are reacting to our whatever is in our subconscious, Bruce. So if there's a lot of emotional crap in our subconscious, we react to that without realizing it in different ways. Therapy, good therapy, helps us to become less reactive. It calms our energy field down and it creates a sense of freedom inside. So, one of my things, having done this work for so long, is to say to people, do the work. We've all got emotional baggage. Do the work, because if you do the work, it will calm your energy field down. You will heal. And perhaps more importantly, from a spiritual perspective, for every person who becomes more balanced on earth, the earth becomes more balanced
Absolutely.
because the collective unconscious becomes more balanced. So for me, the work that I do is a spiritual process as much as it is a psychotherapeutic process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love what you're saying. And you know, I have to deal with different anxieties. Like, for instance, when I left the island, after being sort of on top of the world, and we had to leave the island after being the guy for the Western Caribbean, looked up to, respected, and we had
Mm.
to leave for political reasons because they were killing TV and radio people, not on my island but on the mainland. And I saw it coming my way, and I said to my honey, I said, I think we better go. I don't think it's worth risking our lives. So
Yeah.
when I left and I came back to South Florida, I had a lot of anxiety because I didn't fit in anywhere.
Mm.
And I know that must be something with past lives, constantly dealing with not fitting in, not succeeding up to levels that I, would want for myself and my family. So I definitely think I'm going to take you up on. I might have an idea for us that we can do together,
Mm.
with me as your guinea pig.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, happy to do that. And, so many patterns in this life come from, well, they come from past lives, they come from our ancestors' lives as well. We can inherit patterns from our ancestors. But more often than not, these are things that have happened in different ways in past lives. It may be in a past life that you were cast out from your community for some reason. And that sort of energy has come through into this present lifetime. So, but also what then happens is if it's connected, if there's a thread that goes back to a past life, whatever happens in this lifetime triggers the past life trauma as well. So then you get a double whammy. You get the shit from this life, but it also brings through the shit from the past life. So it makes it even more significant and damaging. So this is another reason why past life regression is so massively important, because if we can release this, then this dissolves away.
So, when you were describing that horrendous experience that the young man was going through when he was on your chair, I knew it was Nazis just from what he was saying and the way he was saying it. I
Mm.
just said, "Oh, he
You've tuned
was
in.
dealing with
Mm.
Nazis."
Yeah.
And because I didn't have family that had to go through that nightmare, but I did on my father's side know for a fact that his parents left during the pogroms up in Russia.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And I not I'm thinking about this for the first time that
Yeah.
I bet you I've got stuff in me
Yeah.
that they had to deal with pogroms up in a very scary, unsure place.
Absolutely. There's the thread. There's the thread. I work with a lot of physical illness, Bruce. I mean, a lot of clients come to me with physical illnesses. I've had a client, just recently with migraines. Migraines often come from deaths in past lives where there's been blows to the head, but also come from ancestors' lives. I've had a client in Oslo in Norway because I was used to run hypnotherapy training in Norway to try to get hypnotherapy more well known over there because it was quite new. And she had breast cancer, and she was a Jew. And of course, in Norway in the Second World War, they were hammered by the Nazis. And many of her ancestors were obviously taken off to the gas chambers. So we had to do a lot of ancestral releasing to help her to heal. Now, she's done other work as well, and she's done other therapies, but she no longer has breast cancer. So one of the things I always say, all illness has underlying emotional causes. If you can work with the emotional cause, there's a chance that the illness can get better.
Well, now I see why you've gotten to where you are, because you are going to be the forefront of healing in this world in the coming years. And I'm so impressed by what you're doing, along with so impressed by so many of the other vendors that are going to be at this expo. I'm like blown away. People are going to be just uh, astounded
Yeah.
by the talent and the skills and the abilities of people like you and others at the event. So when people come to your booth, table booth, wherever your space, some people they give stuff away, some people they charge, some people they sell stuff. What can people expect when they come to your
Well,
space?
I don't do treatments on the day because my therapy sessions usually are 90 minutes long, 2 hours long.
Right.
So, and I don't like to sort of do a 10-minute thing, 15-minute thing. It doesn't suit my way of working. But I'll have copies of my 3 books on sale: Adventures of a Hypnotherapist, The Power of Past Life Regression, and Famous Past Lives. We'll be talking to people about the group past life regressions that we're running in Florida, especially around the West Palm Beach area, over the course of the next few months. So people can sign up to go on our newsletter, and generally just sort of meeting people and talking about past life regression and helping people to understand the concept of it, because there's still skepticism out there as to what it is. There's still people who believe that hypnotherapy is some sort of voodoo ritual, because there's so much nonsense talked about hypnotherapy. So I'll be really happy just to chat with people and to meet with people and do a bit of networking on the day.
Wonderful. So you will get a chance to speak, and after you're speaking, being that you're an author, you're going to go over to the author's table and sign books and sell books and autograph books. So that's going to be an exciting opportunity for all the people that are going to see you speak.
Yes. Hopefully so. And it's just nice to meet people. I love the American people. I'm so happy to be in Florida. I just love Florida, and I've really come to love the American people over the last year or so since I've been coming here, which really surprised me because, of course, living in the UK, we get a mistaken view of the Americans via all the stuff that happens in the governments. But American people are just lovely. There's just a niceness to them, which it's so pleasant being around the American people. So I'm so happy being here.
That's great. It's another thing that just came to my mind. Before I met Lauren, I met a pretty famous Brit. She's a very famous journalist,
Okay.
and we went out for a while. And she was great fun. She had a great personality, and everybody looked up to her because she wrote newspapers and magazines, and everybody knew her here in South
Yeah.
Florida. So
Okay.
I should
Excellent.
connect you to her sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, very much so. Because I'm working on a TV show now on past life regression, looking for any celebrities who want to be regressed and build that up. So yeah, put us in touch. Be
So
nice.
maybe we could talk about. You brought up the radio show. Maybe we could talk about it to see if you might be able to play some role there in getting the word out with all that you're doing.
Love to. Love to. Thank you. Please, Bruce. Yes. Yeah.
Stephen, great podcast, great show.
Thank you.
So wonderful to meet you. I feel like we're connected in a lot of different ways already.
Yeah.
And if you're in West Palm, Lauren and I do a monthly gathering of holistic health practitioners, the third Wednesday of the month. So maybe the third Wednesday of September, you might think about joining us.
We'll be
And
there. Yeah.
before you know it, the expo will be here on the 26th of October. So thank you again for being with us, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Bruce. It's been my pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see you again.